Hello, friends. Happy Sunday and welcome to another edition of Sunday Brunch. Whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, whether you're watching in the morning, the afternoon, or as our friend Sandy from Germany is in the late evening, it is great to see you guys. Thank you for spending your time on this Sunday chatting professional wrestling with some of Love Wrestling's finest and me. I've got two of the finest and myself here, but of course, JPJ and Matt were on earlier today. Love Wrestling finest here earlier. Now we've got three. Parrish, you're shaking your head, so I'm just going to let you get it out of the way, man. How are you doing? What do you want to critique my introduction for? Because there was a lot there. There was a lot to take a shot at.
I just figured the whole double J, Jeff Jarrett, should have got you better prepared for Mr. J, JPJ.
Dude, there's a lot of J's on this site. There are a lot of J's. We've got Joe. We've got
just
JPJ.
call me the mocking J now, all right?
Darnell, good morning. Good to see you, friend. Thank you for joining us on Sunday Brunch. And, of course, Mr. J, it is very good to see you as well, making your long-awaited official live return after a Quizplex run-in a couple of weeks ago. It's good to see you, friend. Welcome back. How are things, dude?
Was that me? I don't wear hats. I've never seen that person before. No, I've been fantastic.
I want my hat back, by the way.
Oh, I will. It's in the mail. What? No. Shit, we've been caught. Kayla.
Oh no.
Okay.
The budget.
Anyway, moving along. Spencer, I do take grievance with what was said. I'm the only J that matters on this website because I am Mr. J. Don't forget it. Remember it forever. And also listen to Poetry of a Promo right here on lovewrestling.ca.
An excellent plug from an excellent individual and another one of our
excellent
J individuals hopping in. This J is in the chat on my lunch break. Joe, good to see you, friend. And Ron, Canada, not my home and native land, but regardless of where you may be tuning in, friend, it is always good to see you. Thank you for joining us after last night's stream. It is appreciated. It was good to see you in the Fightful chat as well. And, of course, if you guys are in the chat right now, throw us your questions, your comments, your concerns, your ideas, your fantasy booking, your anything that you want to chat about in professional wrestling. There's lots going on in the world of sports entertainment, lots to be excited about, some stuff that certainly may not be as exciting, but we're going to get to all of it here in the next hour. We're also going to preview a lot of what we've got coming up here on Love Wrestling. Lots of great stuff coming your guys' way in the next week. But most importantly, and I think I speak for the other individuals here, even for Mr. J, is that throughout the month of June, we are going to be trying to raise $1,000 for the Trevor Project. We're going to be raising money in two forms and fashions tonight. Zach is going to be matching bits on Power Out, and then myself and Josh, we're going to have a conversation a little later on tonight about Josh being a member of the LGBTQ2IA+ community. Of course, being Pride Month, there's a little bit of an extra eye on that. Of course, support your friends in the other communities, any religion, race, sex, whatever it may be. But when you've got the opportunity to give a little bit extra, do so. So I'm going to be chatting with Josh a little bit later on today and throughout all of it. We are going to be taking donations for the Trevor Project. If you guys want to donate, I know it's impossible to click the link through Twitch, but you're going to be seeing it pop in throughout the stream through Nightbot. Please feel free to support if you're able to, or feel free to just tune in and chat some pro wrestling. JJ, thank you for hopping in, friend. Thank you for resubscribing for the second month in a row. It is appreciated. Thank you very, very much. A couple of good comments in here. Darnell, we're going to get to yours, I believe, second, because I think that for me, it's a bit of a quicker answer, admittedly. Ron's got a good one to kick us off here. Will WWE sell to Disney? I'm going to open this one up, if it's cool, to everything outside of Disney, too, because I've got a couple of ideas on that. But, Mr. J, I asked how you were doing second, so I'm going to let you answer first.
Oh, I definitely think it'll sell to Disney. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you give a soundbite. And if you didn't appreciate that, you're wrong.
Well played. Very, very well played. Parrish, is WWE going to sell? There were a lot of layoffs again recently. These ones may be a little bit more unexpected, I guess. The last couple of years, April 15th has sort of been the darkest day in WWE, for lack of a better way to put it. Lots of cuts, but we're less than 2 months away from that. Some big names cut. A lot of people like Ron is as well speculating it's streamlining in anticipation of a sale. What are your thoughts?
Well, first off, I just want to point out how many tweets some of these wrestlers have had that didn't age well, because that in its only self was actually quite funny to watch people like turn back to on. Other than that, it 100% sucks that all of these guys lost their jobs. But yeah, I think they will sell. I have a feeling we might see the library sold to Disney, but we might see the actual day-to-day sales go to NBC. I have a feeling that might be a thing. Just because Carl made a good point a few days back on the kind of the reaction of this about Disney being more worldwide. There's NBC, or there's like Disney China and Disney Japan or whatever. I don't remember exactly everything he said, but
because they're everywhere, like you're saying.
Yeah. Mickey Mouse is one busy animal. So
global overlords.
But with that being said, like, yes, you did.
Sorry,
it's good to be back, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be back live.
But at the same time, like, I think like NBC with I think they want to make like the Raws and the SmackDown something more of a household powerhouse, kind of like what they did with like football and things like that. And the ratings seem to be the thing that Americans always seem to care about. I don't know if it's as big of a deal, say in Canada or in Japan. I think it's more of a, the library that matters more, especially in Japan. I think they care more about content than they do about ratings. So that's why I think
know enough on that end. Like, to be honest with you, because WWE, like, their ratings are like pretty inarguably lower than they've ever been as far as their cable audience goes. But like, they're literally one of the most subscribed to YouTube channels out there. They have some of the most watch hours out there, right? Like, whether you loved it or hated it, the WWE network was a moneymaker for them. So like, it is odd. They're in that bit of a transition period of like, do they want to fully commit to television versus commit to, like you say, their online platforms? But I'll get back to you on there. I got to give a couple shout outs. I'm sure you saw me. JJ popped me a couple of times. Mickey Mouse versus Brock Lesnar, a battle of the beasts, one that I would very much enjoy. And then, of course, the face of Disney, Mickey Mouse, versus the face that ran the place, John Cena. I'm really hoping we just get like some sort of Colonel Sanders crossover like we got again with Shawn Michaels a couple of years ago. I loved him. I really, really loved them. Corey, good to see you as well, my friend, as we're making a quick scroll through the comments as well. And Ron hopping in to add to his comment. I'm thinking WWE should sell soon to get the most money. I think Disney revenues will drop in the next 2 years. Just my opinion. I really don't know enough on the Disney end, to be honest with you. Like, it sounds silly to say, but they're Teflon. If I was to look at them as an outsider, there's nothing that's going to damage them all too much that could ruin a sale of something like the WWE. I would least.
But did we not think of that with the WWE just a few years ago too, though? Like, I would have said WWE is Teflon in the wrestling business like 3 years ago, and then we're looking at them now, and they seem to be just as fragile as ever when it comes to what can happen. Like,
see, I don't know if they're even fragile on that end. And again, like, this is all, I've got no insight as far as WWE economics go. If you guys want to support someone who does, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics does a great job of that. Much better than I. But WWE still, like, I understand that on the outside, and they've got competition in the form of AEW, real tangible competition. As far as viewership goes, Ring of Honor offers a great alternative if you're looking for like that real sports feel, right? MLW, the same sort of thing. Impact is better than it's ever been, I think, as far as a lot of viewers would say. But WWE is still, not to make a pun on it, they're still the titan of sports entertainment, right? Like, regardless of those competitors being there, they are competing for watch hours. But like Ed even said in the comments a couple of seconds there, like, all of their television programming's locked down for 5 years on billion-dollar deals, right? WWE's not having any issues making money. Again, I think that the cool thing for me has been, again, like you brought up, Parrish, sort of watching how they've navigated like the transition to online, because WWE Network made money, but now you look and as Canadians, I think we're all really lucky we don't have to deal with Peacock from what I've heard. Darnell, a great comment in there, Goofy for 24/7 champ. I'd have no issue with that. I have no issue with
the championship yet. I haven't watched the product in a while. Has he not won that yet?
No, I honestly think that R-Truth's still carrying it, but like
no, I think Cesaro is the champ right now.
Maybe. I can't remember the last time it was on Raw or SmackDown or as any part of programming on television. I really don't. Just sad. It's really sad. I love me some 24/7. It is. Well, you talk about the need for comedy in professional wrestling and like that buffet that I like to reference often. R-Truth, Tozawa, when they were like really presenting that 24 championship as a like not a serious piece of presentation, obviously, but like as a real fun piece of wrestling programming. I can't read that, Parrish.
It says Tozawa was the champion.
I'm not even going to attempt. I could have sat here and done us all the honors of like pretending to squint at that. Yeah, Akira's the champ. Darnell hopping on there as well. Do I think WWE is going to sell in Vince's lifetime? I really don't think so. But that's a hunch more than any. That's a hunch more than anything.
I'm going to say yes, simply because I can see Vince McMahon not dying for like another 50 years. But I don't think...
He won't. What do you mean you can see? He's not going
No,
to.
I said I can't see him.
Oh. Yeah,
Like,
no,
I
he's going to live until he's 170.
Yeah,
The Ricky Bobby theory with the progression of science and his high level of income, there's no reason to think that he can't push 200.
If there's one man that's going to define anything that's logistically possible with human science, I think it will be Vince McMahon, and it'll make zero sense.
It's already Keith
It's
Richards.
just like Monday Night
think
Raw.
That you can add
Zero
Vince McMahon to that
sense.
list.
But like, man, there's not been like more rumors than there has been now, and I think there's some validation and validity to these rumors. Like they're going somewhere. There has to be a reason. Like Nick Khan's is there for a reason. He's there for a purpose.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah.
He's a real smart dude. Joe hopping in as well. Sorry to just because something you can probably play off of while you're chatting here. Find it amusing that some wrestling fans think that the Khans and AEW are going to buy WWE, which is absolutely absurd. I think it's absurd, but I also thought it was absurd that WWE could buy WCW. I don't think there's any real comparison yet, but like WWE is to suddenly start booking finger pokes of doom just for lack of a more blatant comparison. You could see it happen eventually or vice versa, right? Professional wrestling's a competition. There's only room at the top for one. All those cliches you've heard. Parrish, I'll let you continue though. Sorry.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like the one thing I think people don't give WWE enough credit as is when they do bring in guys in the business side. Let's key on the business side that they are there for a reason. They generally do what they need to do. We don't really have any faulting of the WWE on a business side. It's more creative that we all seem to like say, you know, what in the blue hell are you doing? But with that being said, like they are, like you said, a titan, a juggernaut, you know, the number one when it comes to this line of work. And it's for reasons because they ran very, very well. And I think there's the talks about that doing that like real life Hall of Fame. So I think there's more to WWE than just, you know, the sale and things like that. I think they want to make more of a spectacle of what they have. But in order to do that, I think they need that new management and need that new financial background.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. Like, I think Nick Khan, like you mentioned a couple of times, and a couple of people in the chat have mentioned as well, like, he's been really making waves. I don't have a less cliche way to put it. Like, since he's come around, like, you start to hear stuff about a sale, right? Like, these rumors come around every so often. They seem to have more smoke than ever with everything coming on, right? Like, rumors of working with promotions like MLW come around again with Nick Khan. I can't ever speak to the business end of things because I ain't there. I probably never will be. But it's just nice to see some smoke to stuff like this for once. You know what I mean? Like, it has always seemed that WWE was that very individualistic company, at least over the last 20 years. I know they've done their stuff with All Japan and all of that, but it's just cool to see. Don't have a better way to put it right now. Does he have some plans to sell? I have no idea if realistically, if WWE could sell without Vince having input or like basically being outvoted to sell. I almost think they would have already. Well, like a couple years ago when their stock price was sitting at like 80, 90 Canadian bucks, which can't tell you what that is American. Like I would have thought, I'd have to guess, but conversions from 2 years ago, nonetheless, or conversions now, nonetheless, 2 years ago, ain't coming easy to me. I would have thought they would have sold then. I really, really would have. But Say La Vie, going to give a couple of shout outs real quick before we continue on with some questions. Don't worry, Darnell. We're going to get to Shayna Baszler here. We've got a couple as well on Andrade, on Mark Henry. Lots of great stuff, Murdoch and Aldis. But first, Ben, great to see you, friend. Thank you for tuning in. Darnell, do want to give a shout out as well because Drake Maverick's run with the 24/7 title. R-Truth, I think, might have like the consistency, and that might be why you say he's the greatest champion, and rightfully so. I think Drake Maverick had the best run with the 24/7 title. Like at the wedding, having his honeymoon interrupted, all of that, like beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
What's your favorite 24/7 moment so far? And yes, we'll go there because I know Mr. J really, really wants to say his.
I don't have one. I will be perfectly frank because no, that's a subject for another podcast. But I disagree with the 24/7 championship from its inception because I think it's a lackluster version of a better championship that deserves more respect. But enough about my opinion. On to people that actually like it, because this is love wrestling, not I hate this.
Hey, we're here for all sorts of opinions, as long as you, as you always have.
I went to you.
As long as we're all abiding by the "don't be a dick" theory when we're giving our thoughts on professional
wrestling.
That is
not in my contract, Spencer, and you are well aware of that.
I thought we're lined up to renegotiate. Apologies there. But I do want to get back to her. Hopefully something that you enjoy, and I'll let you stew on it for a second, Mr. J, as Parrish and I give our favorite 24/7 title moments. How would you save Shayna Baszler's career? Before that, Parrish, your 24/7 title moment.
My favorite 24/7 title moment was when Ted DiBiase bought it, but just because I like the nostalgic part of it. Like, I don't know, like, and that's, I don't know, like, I love it when they do some things. Like, I never took the title to be serious at all, and I kind of just threw taking seriousness away from WWE at times over the last few years, just because, well, you know, it's their fault. So that's what you get for releasing your tag division for no reason. I'm still bitter about that one.
Yeah, that's one. Like, see, if we want to talk about do not be a dick
said it literally on this show.
I would have a tough time on that
when we were talking about the initial Impact AEW thing, and I'm like, oh, let's do the Good Brothers against the Revival because WWE, got and fucked that up. And they did. Like, you could have had so much more if you had just let them go.
There's a lot left on the table.
And because of that, we got a stupid 24/7 title out of it. But it does,
you know what?
It does give you entertainment moments. But I'd rather you put more time and effort in the United States title, the tag team titles, the women tag team titles,
man. Like, and if you're watching, for me, I don't need to watch 3 hours of overtly serious professional wrestling programming. You know what I mean? And if I do, there are a lot of great, and when I say overtly serious, like that did sound like a slam. There are a lot of great serious professional wrestling programs out there. Like, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry, I saw her in there. We're going to talk about Murdoch versus Aldis. But like, if you tell me that the NWA is not trying to do that and bring that completely serious pro wrestling programming, Ring of Honor for the most part, they bring in their comedic segments, but same thing. You've got your pure wrestling, and the WWE again has never claimed to be a pure wrestling promotion. They want to bring that entertainment. So I agree, man. Like, there are a lot of different ways you can split the 3, 5, 7, 8, 9 hours of programming that they've got between their NXT UK, Raw, SmackDown, all of that. There are a lot of ways you can do it, but I don't think that giving less time to the entertainment side of it is the solution. You know what I mean?
I just feel that sometimes they think entertainment's always a ha-ha moment. It doesn't have to be like it could be a great wrestling moment. Some people do find the wrestling part entertaining. And I think sometimes there's that disconnect between what they think entertainment is to what the people find entertaining. And I think that's kind of where we get this disconnection of opinion in the sense of not just like you and I, but I just mean generally speaking. Because I remember, and like this is a thing, sometimes there's two ha-ha moments where, again, like we see maybe Shayna Baszler being more funny or being an ass kicker. And I think you got to get her being an ass kicker instead of doing jokes, because I don't want to listen to Shayna Baszler tell jokes. I want to see her beat people
I don't want
up,
Shayna
and I think that's a
Baszler-
reason.
Oh man, I don't want her to lose to Reginald ever at any point ever. Before we continue, sorry, Parrish, because I do it transitions nicely for me to give a quick shout out and knock my mic over. But to give a quick shout out to Rye Levy, thank you for throwing some bits our way, and also thank you for throwing the comments. If you guys want to support some great individuals, give a love, give some love, give a like, give a follow, give some Patreon love to Out in the Ring. Great individuals doing great things. Throw a link in there if you can. We fixed Nightbot. We did do it. And a future guest on the Mind Behind, but stay tuned for that one in the next little bit. Thrown in there, I think Shayna has to go off TV and brought back with an advocate type. Bring her back in like they launched Karma, beat up talent, refs. Yeah, Shayna Baszler is an ass.
Why can't she be the first Paul Heyman girl? Like, it's always dudes with Heyman. Why can't Heyman have a girl? Why can't it be Shayna Baszler?
Yep.
Shayna's badass. It have been Ronda?
Well, and JJ hopping in the
Shayna's
comments
better.
Before.
Well, yeah, but at the time.
It's amazing that Ronda, an MMA fighter, was champ for a year, and Baszler from the same background in MMA loses to Reginald. I don't get it. Ronda and Baszler are two badasses that can kick anyone's ass. I completely agree. Completely agree with you.
Stop comparing what they did and somewhere else to WWE, please. That's a misconception everyone makes. Yeah, Shinsuke won an IWGP title. Guess what?
The
WWE world doesn't care about IWGP titles. Like, let's just separate that.
I disagree
let's just separate.
So
don't use it to like promote a guy. But
hold on. Speaking of promoting a guy, there's a good place. There's the Patreon link. Make sure you support. Rye's going to be a guest on the Mind Behind to close out Pride Month. So again, if you guys want to support any of the great initiatives that we're trying to do here at Love Wrestling throughout June, that is a great way to support someone that we love here on the site. Make sure you're supporting good people doing good things. Jobber JJ, Shayna's losing to the doll, isn't she?
Yep. I don't even watch the product, but I saw that video and I was like, wow. And where's the Fiend? Oh, yeah, he's afraid of oils coming from someone's face. But I'm not going to go there because I'm a nice person. But if she loses to a doll, I no.
It's going to be, we're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know what? I'm just going to say this.
I swear
Oil
to God,
can be
if
a
she loses to the
dangerous
doll, I'm
thing when
walking
it's
more.
traveling really fast. And
Yeah. You make a fair
it
point.
doesn't work in the playoffs that well.
Well, unless anybody else has anything on Shayna Baszler's end, as far as I'm concerned, I agree with pretty well everything you guys said. Shayna is at her best, in my opinion, when she is that badass. And I know that there were the missteps right off the bat. Like, I was as much of a non-fan of coming in and having like the whole almost vampire angle when she came in. I didn't like the fact, and I know that Becky Lynch and there were a lot of people in WWE who went out of their way to advocate for Shayna Baszler winning at Mania 36. There are just a lot of steps for me that, like, it isn't like, it's a weird way to put it, but it's not like consistently what Shayna's doing. It's just like she starts doing great stuff. She was badass in this tag team with Nia Jax. And then losing to Reginald, for me at least, takes a lot of wind out of the sails of someone that, like, no matter what they do for her, like, they could turn her into, like, for lack of a better comparison, they could give her the outfits they were going to give the Revival, and I would still love Shayna Baszler. I'm a fan through and through, but this is the stuff that I think does make some people not a fan, and that's doing a disservice by Shayna Baszler. If any of that sentence made sense, please let me know. There's not a lot of response, so I'm assuming it made no sense. Should I ramble more?
No, because
I was not listening.
Because I was gonna say, like, she should go on like a streak of where she's just putting people out. Like what Nia Jax is doing in real life, she should do in the script form.
Oh
yes, I knew I was gonna get somebody with that one.
That was tough. I'm not gonna argue it because it was really funny, but that was some rough justice.
But with that being said, WWE just doesn't have enough women on the roster anymore.
I was
too,
going to say that actually as a rebuttal. What with if she takes out all seven of them?
They're thinner than the models they used to hire, so I don't know what to do right now when it comes.
Well,
to
and the thing is I don't understand why, and I again can never speak to the business side of things. I don't understand why, like you guys said, on the surface of it, there's just simply not enough women on the main roster right now between both brands. Right? You've got two sets of tag team championships when, for me, one of the biggest highlights of the one set of women's tag team championships was that you could go to NXT with them. And I know it wasn't a tag team match, but stuff like that was what led to Io Shirai wrestling Sasha Banks. And you got these really cool moments. And, you know, it's a bad way to put it, because like by no means have any of the NXT women's tag team champions not been deserving of being champions in some way, shape, or form. But the solution for me is have them challenge for the WWE women's tag team championships. Not introduce another set that when you do hit this low point in the roster where there aren't a ton of individuals simply numbers wise to be able to justify having this many championships. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think
to
they
be
should
introducing
be
more and more.
That's just me.
Thank you, right? They go around your waist.
Championship cummerbunds. This is my hysterical face.
Belt, hold up your pants. It is okay to call it a championship belt or a title belt as long as you put one of those in before, because they are a championship and a title. But other than that, like, okay.
We need like a graphic that flashes across the screen.
This is a championship
Learn
title.
From a wrestler.
It's championship belt, championship title. Oh, thing. What you see right here is a belt.
Just prime quality content, ladies and gentlemen. We
It's
saw
leather.
below the waist on Parrish today.
I mean,
only
Just make
fans,
sure
here we come.
and now I'm going to eat pineapple. So go to the next topic, please.
ASMR
Please.
now. Look at this.
Please make sure that you guys check out my site for caramel-based desserts.
I was just giving them a moment of lull. So they're
Check
like,
out-
you know what? Instead of checking
Check
out
out my
my belt,
OnlyFans.
you can go to donate.tillified.com/outlovewrestling/Trevor and make a donation if you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Well,
you
so-
gotta get those live donations.
Now, a couple of topics that we're going to touch on because we've hit the halfway point. We want to make sure that everybody gets their opportunity to top up their coffee, their mimosa, eat their pineapple in Parrish's case. But we want to make sure we do that. A couple of topics that we're going to touch on after the break. We want to touch on Murdoch and all this because we've not only got the NWA When Our Shadows Fall pay-per-view coming up tonight, but we've got our full pay-per-view review coming up following that. So let's give some love to the NWA. And, of course, I do want to chat on what a few of you in the comments have talked about. Is first brought up by Corey MLB. They really need to have a WWE draft. So those will be our two topics following. Of course, we are always happy to take comments, questions, concerns, anything of that sort. So please feel free to throw them in there. But through the break, if we're going to talk NWA and if we've embarrassed Zach through the last little bit for his dancing, then let's embarrass me. We don't do that enough here on this site. This is a highlight from the latest edition of The Mind Behind, featuring our very own Zach Ralph, of course, the host of the Smark and Friends podcast as well. We chatted about his content and I danced. Pluggo hopping in. Let's get this out of the way now. Do the
Okay.
dance, Zach.
Okay. I am stating a rule. I'm making this an official rule for Power Out, okay? If Kyle Davis dances, I will dance on Power Out. That's the only criteria in which a dance is guaranteed to happen. I'm not going to just dance every time someone pops into the comments and says, do the dance. It's not happening. Let the dream go.
Sorry, Zach, I'm a little distracted.
No.
Everybody. Oh, no.
I
Heel
like
turn.
it, Joe.
Heel
Joe, thank
turn.
you.
Heel turn.
It's on you, man.
That's
Das
it.
Wunderkind.
There we go.
Isn't it great to be a part of Love Wrestling?
Why do you guys
Sometimes-
always have to do like, okay, so I've been watching this like, wow, you can really dance. And it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And then now you guys are giving me a reason to make a meme out of both of you with this song.
Not even blame, but blame Kyle Davis, of course, one of the hosts of NWA. And of course, blame Zach and blame Mighty Joe Morin in the comments if you're still here on your break. Love you, buddy, but I'm a little upset with you on this one. You made me dance. Of course, if you want to make Zach dance, if Kyle Davis does it tonight on the pay-per-view, you can check him out on Power Out tonight. That, of course, is where we're going to be raising more funds for the Trevor Project. Zach will be matching our Twitch bit donations up to $50. And then immediately following that, I'm going to be chatting with Josh Robinson. Of course, as I mentioned off the top of this, we're going to be just having a conversation around his being a member of the LGBTQ2IA plus community in wrestling. It's something I'm excited to talk about. It's something I really obviously as a white cis dude have no experience with. It's something that he's wanted to talk about, whether personally, professionally, or on a stream or otherwise. So one I'm excited to have. I hope you guys tune in for one or both of all of those. It would be very, very appreciated. No hip action on the stream? No, not quite yet. That's what you gotta. There's where we'll get the OnlyFans going. That's where you'll get the full-bodied DOS Wonder Kid from the members of the Love Wrestling community. However, if we're going to talk about NWA, Mr.
Hey,
J,
Spencer,
I know you've kept. Yeah, what?
Before we go, Wrestling Plug asked me to take my shirt off, so I did. I'm a people pleaser. You just didn't say I could put a new one on, so just want to say, boom, did it.
Wow.
Honestly,
that's commitment. That is commitment.
Well, and I didn't even notice, and I did notice earlier you're wearing the PPW shirt, so I'm a little embarrassed by my eye for detail. But I don't know how much you guys have been watching the National Wrestling Alliance's presentations of Power on Tuesdays at 6:05 p.m. Mountain in Fight TV land, but I have quite enjoyed the project since coming back. Mr. J, I know you've joined for a couple editions of Power Out. Parrish, have you watched any of the NWAs since they returned a couple of months ago?
I haven't watched like episodes like throughout, but I've been watching the clips. I don't mind it. It's one of those things where I actually would prefer more. It's one of those where I'm like, I'm just enjoying watching the guys that like say like the Aaron's like I'm trying to remember his name, but like it's pretty much yeah, like the Sandows there. I'm still gonna call them by their Fed name, so whatever. But like it's nice to see him kind of doing his thing there. I've always liked him, and I thought WWE should have pulled the trigger on him when he won Money in the Bank. And it's nice to see like Nick Aldis is a guy that I loved watching in Impact and TNA as the his time there was kind of winding down, and I was like, man, like he could be a star. And then you're seeing him over Murdoch. I just love that style that he has. Like I think Murdoch is amazing. So I'm loving the Murdoch. All this thing is just going to be. I mean, when we're talking about entertainment being pro wrestling, this is it. Like just right there. Like this is it. This is what entertaining pro wrestling will look like. Is Murdoch versus
I completely
Aldis.
agree. I completely agree. Mr. J, I'll move to you next.
I haven't decided yet if I'm going to watch it or not. But to be honest, I am actually very excited. I know that there are a couple of late additions to the card from what I can see. I know that Smiley Kylie is on there. Am I correct in thinking that, or is that not happening?
Yeah, no, and you talk about people that you just get excited for being in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
She's one of them, man. And like, obviously you don't want to speak too much to someone else's mental health, but obviously she's put out her own statements that's why she's backed out of pro wrestling a couple of times over the last few years. It's just nice to see her back when she comes back, both for the professional side. I love watching her wrestle. I don't think she's underrated by any means, in that everybody knows she's a really great pro wrestler. She's just someone that for me deserves a bigger platform. You know what I mean? Not underrated, could afford to be rated more.
No,
is
absolutely.
the best way I can put it. It's exciting on that end of things. Again, on the personal end too, and again, not wanting to speak to someone else's mental health with things too much.
No, absolutely. And you hope
it's great to see.
And you hope in those situations that, like, yes, she has been very public about it, but at the same time, it's like if she's willing to do this, then as a fan, I'm happy for her, because you know that, I mean, if she's okay with doing this, then maybe she's good to be there. I mean, we know she has the goods, so I would be excited to see that.
I completely agree with you. Parrish, I know you're excited about Trevor Murdoch. I know you're happy he's wrestling for the 10 pounds of gold, but any thoughts on how the match is going to go? Are you excited for a potential new world's heavyweight champion? Or are you thinking Slick Nick carries the title?
See, like the one, because I was actually just going through the card right there, because I'm like, I was not aware of what the full card was. I always like it when a guy has a long reign. It just kind of makes that moment of a new champion more special. I just don't think Murdoch is going to be the guy that takes it off of Aldis. But me saying that makes me believe he's the perfect guy to take it off of Nick Aldis for it, because I also thought it was kind of silly when Cody took it off of Aldis. I wasn't a big fan of that switch.
Really? See, I would disagree with you there, and I do agree with you in that like a long reign is a better reign for the most part, but that was like it was a perfect piece of storytelling. Cody winning that was a
the match was fantastic, but I thought that sometimes they get too carried away with some things, nostalgic things, to the point where they go there and it becomes predictable. And I didn't like the fact that it became predictable, and that's why they made the change. I'd like that time when a title change happens and you're just like, oh my God, I did not expect that. Like when this is a controversial one, but when Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker for his streak, nobody saw that coming. And if that was for the heavyweight championship, that would have gone down as one of the most shocking WrestleMania moments of all time, in my opinion.
It already did, though.
Oh, yeah, but if you add a title to that, it just becomes that more significant, right? Especially with the way that I've always learned what the world's heavyweight title means. But
for that, like for even if we're looking at Mania 30 specifically, that would have deprived us of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, but I still thought it was bigger. Like, I honestly believe Taker losing his streak was bigger than anything happened on that card. But I want to also take this back to this match. I just used it as an example. It's Taker, man. Nobody's bigger than Taker. It's just honesty. And I love Daniel Bryan.
Big Daddy Cool. Big Daddy Cool's bigger than Taker.
Nah, he tore his quad. He's little. But
for both.
But with that being said, like NWA always has this storytelling to a T that I always wished was more in WWE, just because I am a WWE guy. But
even the dogs disagree.
Yeah, well,
JP is frustrated by your point, which
they
gives me a good opportunity.
Watching their Pitbulls match, their favorite Pitbulls match.
Hold on, this is going to give me a good opportunity to shout out our new emote. If you guys are on Twitch, you can see my pup in the stream now. That was that little jerk that was just barking. Great emote, though. Only can get it from subscribing to Love Wrestling CA right here on Twitch. Thank you guys for tuning in on Sunday Brunch. Parrish, thanks for allowing me the opportunity to plug my stuff. Continue with your point. Come on, I got to put the pup over.
There you go.
Love Wrestling. We're going to the dogs. Haha.
Oh, we're not talking about Rude, or we're not talking about Ziggler. We're talking about the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship with Murdoch and all this. And I don't know, like when I think of Murdoch, I do think the NWA style. And I actually do think he would make a very good World's Heavyweight Champion. So I wouldn't be upset, but I don't know. Personally, I don't think they have done this to be as big as they normally do with title switches. So I'm going to lean on no, but I would like to see Murdoch as champion one day.
Yeah. Mr. J, any thoughts on your end, friend?
Nick Aldis. You know, the reign has not been long enough. Like, I know it has been very long, but they're also still building back up that audience and building up all building up the steam that they have behind the product. And when I think of the NWA, I think of Nick Aldis. Mind you, the way that they book their show, the way that they put on their shows, it could very, very easily be shifted. And I would be 100% okay with it. But because I like Nick Aldis just a little bit more, I have to go with him. Because he's the national freaking treasure. I censored myself because I'm a gentleman.
Okay, we already used our one requisite F word earlier in the show, and remember, we can only give a single F. An emote for Parrish. Don't worry, we still do have that open emote slot. So as soon as we get a photo of Parrish's handsome one there,
it's been
give me what I want. Give them what they want, Parrish.
Give me what I want. What I really, really want.
So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I want.
The next topic would be great. It's what I really, really want.
I'm actually going to clip that now. So what is the next topic as I clip this?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've been trying to export a file so that I can show off and be like, hey guys, you know what's cool when we're talking about Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch is I interviewed Nick Aldis about Trevor Murdoch.
Oh, did you?
Oh, I did do that, Mr. J. And what we're going to do is an experimental little piece here where I attempt to play a clip of Nick Aldis talking about him while a guy like Trevor Murdoch, who's always been a great
I did it.
wrestler, is moving up onto the Nick Aldis level, which is a pretty good level to be on. What have you maybe seen in him over the last little bit that's allowed him to take this step? And then is there anybody else that that you've got your eye on or you see as a potential great addition to the rotating cast of the NWA?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Trevor, because like that's
Ain't working well, is it?
That's almost really become a calling card of the brand is we've taken the guys that didn't get the chance to really showcase showcase themselves to their fullest potential, and because of the somewhat cold-hearted nature of wrestling, sometimes it can be kind of like you're written off. That's it. And if you don't happen to have the right connections, or you don't happen to appeal to the right type of fans, it's like your skill set can be greatly underutilized. And that was Trevor Murdoch. Like I've known Trevor since I went to Harley's camp in 2007, and at the time he was on the road with WWE at that time. So in my mind, I was like, wow, it's so cool that this guy's a WWE star, and he's taking his 2 days on the road, take 2 days at home off the road to come and like help us. Like that's so cool. And so to get it to come sort of full circle, and then like we didn't give him anything, he took it. All we did was say, I think you might be a good fit. It was literally just one of the, hey, what about Trevor Murdoch? And Billy went, oh yeah, that's a good shout, like let's try him. And he walked out on that first episode of Power, or I think it was the first episode. And you could just feel the people in the building go, oh yeah, like because it's now the shoe fits.
All right, we're going to worry about the technical times next time that we play a clip on the show, because I tried to figure it out. Just like earlier, I tried to figure out how to fix Nightbot, but Parrish, as Rye proved earlier, I have not fixed being able to put links in the show. Does all this put over Joe? Unfortunately, no. I was hoping he did too. We'll get there soon. Next topic, Mr. J, you've been asking for it for a while, so I'll let you touch on it first. The WWE needs a draft sooner rather than later. Yes, no, and why? Yes, no, or why?
Well, they need to draft more female superstars, first and foremost. So yes, I do believe that they need to draft. And oh, you meant in storyline. Don't care. Sorry, I tuned out halfway through the question. Yes, hire more females and keep people and move on to someone who watches the product. I do apologize. I don't. Who am I kidding?
Parrish, you and I have talked about it a ton. The WWE, I think you and I both can pretty conclusively say, and if I'm speaking on your behalf poorly here, let me know. They're in pretty desperate need of some sort of draft or superstar shakeup or something of that sort sooner rather than later here, right?
No, I keep saying my mic gets muted. Are you muting me?
No.
Oh, weird. No, it keeps
Nice
popping up. No, man, he is a dick today. Just going to point that out.
Nightbot for kids.
I think it's important for WWE to make changes, but if you're going to do a draft, you got to do it correctly. You got to include NXT. You got to include NXT UK. You got to actually shake things up. You can't just go, we're going to move the same feud from Raw to SmackDown and hope you enjoy it on a different day this year.
That was like the last one they did where they moved
I know, I'm making fun of it.
And then they moved the entire, like, didn't the entire Mysterio family get drafted together?
All Mysterios, all Rollins, Owens, Black,
Blue,
Murphy.
I'll never understand too. Like, if you're just looking to build a roster, why would you not just strictly draft factions? If you're looking to be the dominant brand, why not just draft everyone? Like, why the New Day would get drafted without Big E? I understand why they would storyline wise, but like, no, we're just not going to take Big E. What? I don't understand. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah. I don't
Sorry.
know. I mean, we're talking.
I don't think Spencer understands.
I simply
I don't know what
I
gave
am
you that
speechless. I am without speech.
But it's one of those things where, like, I would love to see, like, a Piper Niven come onto Raw or SmackDown. I would like to see a Kaylee Ray come to Raw or SmackDown. I think it's time for her to drop that NXT UK title and then do something else. She's had that title long enough to where she has built her brand to be higher than what it was when she was first champion, to the point now where she's a player and she's taken serious. I mean, I would like to see maybe Shayna Baszler going up against Rhea Ripley, or I want to see Shayna Baszler and Charlotte, like something fresh. Maybe Becky Lynch against Shayna Baszler with the roles reversed, or maybe I don't know, but like do stuff that's different. Like I don't know, like why don't you bring over like Santos Escobar and make him a player on the on one of the rosters? Like man, like he would be
guy's a stud. The entire
imagine that faction going up against Roman and the Usos. That would be fresh, and that would be a lot of fun to watch.
There's a lot of room, like Io Shirai. I think it's
or British Strong Style against Usos and Roman. Whew. Yeah.
I just don't know how you. Pete Dunne is doing. He's too good as a bad guy. I've liked him as a good guy. I don't want him to go back to being a good guy.
I mean, how good would that? Like, seriously, man, that would be so good. Pete Dunne against Roman, and then you have Usos against Seven and Bate. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. JJ hopping in. WWE doesn't need a draft. Have one roster. Have star power on both Raw and SmackDown, and spread out the mid to undercard talent. Make both shows feel and look different. I completely agree with some of that. I admittedly though, like I'm pretty firmly on the side that like. Again, if they want to call it a superstar shakeup and do whatever from there, cool. Like Drew McIntyre for me, get that guy to SmackDown. There's about 80 different guys on that roster. He hasn't wrestled yet. Mm-hmm. I love Bobby Lashley. I love Drew. Do I want to see them wrestle again? Not in particular, at least not anytime soon. Ed hopping in as well. You can't do one roster on two shows because you would have to put the stories on twice a week and it leads to more repetition. That, my friend, is a point that I can firmly get behind. There's already too much of it and people are only being seen once a week.
Yeah.
There just is.
I think too, like if you're going to have a larger female roster, you got to have it on Raw just because of that 3-hour time. I think the one thing that was evident this week on just this last week of shows, like we didn't get a lot of female segments on SmackDown simply because they're taking this time to really generate that Roman Uso feud. And they're doing a really great job of it. And my thing is like, I think it's time that they started having a secondary feud that complements it as well, instead of it just being the one, because it was a thing where I thought, they didn't execute Bayley enough. They didn't execute Seth Rollins enough on SmackDown, I thought. But if they would have moved that on to Raw, you can give these women a little bit more time on the roster. And I think that's why we're seeing the Raw or the women's tag titles always on Raw and not as much on SmackDown, unless it's like a firm storyline.
You know what? I think there's got to be, and it's shitty because you have to walk a really fine line with it. Like there's nothing I hate more than this brand to brand invitational that they try to do, or the 4 times a year a SmackDown star can come to whatever. Like they've got to find a better way to do it. But like there needs to be.
We need another wild card.
With the men, sorry to like almost like make the Disturbed vocal there as I try and find my words. With the men, for the most part, okay, they're strictly one brand or the other, and as it should be. You've got 200 of them across your brands. They can't afford to be more of like a static brand alignment. With the women, like, and especially after Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was last week, where the cuts happened, like there are 7 women total on SmackDown. And it's unfortunate that not only are there only that amount of women, but they ain't giving them enough time. I think that if we're going to start to look to there being some like fluidity towards the women tag team championships, I've got no issue with there being fluidity around just the women's roster as a whole. Because then you do, like you say, Parrish, if they're limited to Raw and they don't get time on Raw, for whatever reason, they ripped up the script an hour before, whatever the excuse might be, then that's another week you're waiting. Whereas if you've got the women is basically not their own brand, basically like their own set of rules, they can travel between brands as they see fit because they're all challenging for the women's tag team championships in some way, shape, or form. At least then you open up more opportunities for them to appear, which for me ostensibly would lead to them appearing more. Because like NXT, neither program, whether it's UK or otherwise, they don't have that problem. They just don't have that problem. And NXT's got the same 2 hours that SmackDown does, and you've got an hour more on Raw that you just, I still think you don't
execute.
You don't.
Enough.
Well, you don't showcase them enough. You're right. And it's by no means, by absolutely no means, an indictment on any woman's talent on that roster. It really isn't. You can say it every year, but they've got the most talented roster they've ever had, and you can make that argument.
I just found it weird that it wasn't that long ago where we were talking about maybe having WWE do its own female brand, and just the thoughts of oh my god, they have so many females, and then now we're talking about how little of females they have. It's where did this go wrong, and where was it? We were talking about an evolution before, and then now we're almost having a regression. It almost feels like in terms of numbers. Nobody's going to deny that the quality of talent within these women are absolutely huge. But to me, I just if you were going to release a Ruby Riott for whatever the reasons were, and I love both these women, but why didn't you get rid of a Nikki Cross then? It just made no sense to
That's
why.
What you wonder is and again,
what picked Ruby Riott out of this group, because she was doing more with Liv Morgan at the time.
You wonder where the decisions come from.
And
you want none of them. You want absolutely none of them to end up losing their jobs, but you do wonder what those deciding factors are.
We were talking about the Ruby's Riott and Liv being the next tag team champions, and then all of a sudden it's well, that's not a thing anymore.
And I know there's the rumor out there that Braun was released because he was getting paid a lot, but that guy was in a Universal title match 2 weeks ago, or a WWE Championship match, excuse me, 2 weeks ago, and now he's gone. It's independent Adam Scherr. I'll pay to see Braun at an indie show if he's there.
Part of me still wonders if, because we all know, from this time, this COVID time, that all businesses have suffered and they had to make cuts in some way. We all know WWE does budget cuts every year.
Yep.
I don't think it's been more insane than it has been the last 2 years where they've had.
No.
So I'm wondering how many of these talents, if they're still available once the business side picks up when the world opens up again, if any of these talents return. If they don't already sign somewhere else, because to me it just seems like these were done just to they're just, I don't know, it did, like you said, there wasn't a lot of sense to it, but you have to wonder if there's more to this, because I don't know if you watched, and this is something I actually wanted to bring up, but when Aleister Black, Tommy End, he went on Twitch and started doing a lot of Q&A streams. He had zero negative things to say about creative, which we always said was probably the reason of why he wasn't getting enough time. He actually said they were behind him more than anybody. And then he actually had a really good relationship with Vince, which we all thought, Vince just doesn't get the character. So it just really, it befuddles me more now.
Befuddles, excellent choice.
Thank you. It just, but at the same time, you're seeing these talents saying, no, you got great ideas, we're behind you. We have these. And that's the thing.
That is.
All right, Jay, we got to take this over now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
we fixed it.
Oh, no, he's
No,
back.
I know.
I was going to go into my Angie's.
That one wasn't even. That one wasn't even an internet issue. Admittedly, I was. Mr. J shoots hard on Spencer Love. No, Spencer Love makes a dumb move and accidentally turns his Wi-Fi off during the stream. I'm just glad I caught it while I was trying to do it.
I mean, Ollie didn't get released. We have no hacker, right?
No, but like you say, Parrish, it doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason as to who was released. You only hope, and whether it's signing with WWE, being happy doing independence everywhere you possibly can, going to another one of the proverbial major promotions, like as cheesy as it's going to sound, if people are happy, whether it's with WWE or whether it's elsewhere, cool. That's all you can ask. And if that's a couple of months after being released, you go back to the WWE, like you bring up earlier with Tia Trinidad or Zelina Vega, as a lot of people know her, she's rumored to be going back. And that was only a few months ago that she was released as well, right? So you can only hope. As long as all of these people find gainful employment, is all we can hope for anybody out there at this point in time. Cool, I'm covered off. As far as the draft goes, yeah, there needs to be a major shakeup in my opinion. And whether it's all brand encompassing draft, I'd love that. I'd even love to see, and it's maybe something we can talk about next week because we're cutting her tight on time here. I would love to see
do our own draft next week. Could that be a
I like
thing?
that. I like that. Let's start to plan out some rules. We'll tweet those out. But like one thing that I would love to start to see too is NXT be actively involved and have the opportunity to pull from WWE talent. What if what if NXT was to draft Dolph Ziggler or a Bobby Roode back or someone like, I don't know. We're spitballing here and it's too late for me to start spitballing. Throwback, thank you, friend, for tuning in. Thank you for making the day better on this hot day. I really hope it ain't as hot as you were saying it was underneath the vehicle, as you were saying last night on Blowing Off stream. Hopefully the day is good, my friend. Darnell, I like to agree with you there. It's a cool idea for NXT. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, and I am that blind squirrel. Thanks for this. Thank you. Again, it is always appreciated when you guys take the time. There is tons of professional wrestling programming out there. You could watch a Royal Rumble on a Sunday. You could tune into any of the hundreds of thousands of streams out there. And you guys took the time to spend it with us this morning. And it is always, always appreciated when you all choose to do so. And you do choose to do so. So thank you. Parrish, I'm going to let you start to plug your social media first because, of course, when I close her out here on the stream, I like to raid people. I like to preview what we've got coming up here on Love Wrestling. And, of course, we want to close today's stream out with promoting what we've got going on for the Trevor Project. So we're going to get you given your social media first and foremost here, my friend. And to do so, we're going to give you the big screen.
Yeah, right. Well, you guys can follow me on the Twitter at Chris Parrish. You can follow me on the Instagram, where I will not dance at all, because no. But if you want to, it is Chris.Parrish. You can find me on the Twitchy at the Chris Parrish, and you can find me at everything at lovewrestling.ca, and you can possibly find a little bit of merchandise coming my way in the days to come, because I got custom-made stickers. Because
Neat.
Who doesn't like a sticker? I even got hologram stickers.
Like Tupac. Mr. J.
Yeah.
I am Mr. J, host of Poetry of a Promo. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, I believe. At Poetry of a Promo. I don't actually run it and I don't care. Tweet them whatever you want. Just listen to the show, Poetry of a Promo. But I will leave you with this before, obviously, listen to the show and enjoy it. But I will say this. You never know when I'm going to show up. So keep watching lovewrestling.ca on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, because you never know. Because just like Sting, the only thing that's for sure about Mr. J is that nothing is for sure.
Come and knock on our door. We've been
Come and knock on the door. Come and we'll be waiting for you. I don't know any more lyrics to that, so if we're going to continue,
Is it the man called Sting? Sorry.
It's the man called Sting too. Now, as Mr. J mentioned, the host of Poetry of a Promo, you can catch his return episode coming tomorrow. He will be covering the dashing Cody Rhodes. He'll be paired up with Josh Robinson's video on the legacy of Beth Phoenix. I've got Foul Original coming on Tuesday. We've got the NWA Power Out recap on Tuesday as well. Wednesday, Turnbuckle Rewind. Lots of great live streams coming your way Thursday.
Go listen to Poetry of a Promo. It's the best. Spencer's been muted. It's my show now.
Before that happens tomorrow, tonight, We've got NWA Power Out recapping When Our Shadows Fall tonight. And after that, I'm going to be chatting with Josh Robinson, as we've talked about a couple of times throughout the stream, on simply being a member of the LGBTQ2IA plus community in professional wrestling. It's a chat that I've got absolutely no experience with, no personal experience with, obviously. So I'm excited to hear from Josh on that end, as we're trying to highlight our allies throughout Pride Month. Let's make sure we tune in if we've got the opportunity, and not only just support myself. It would be appreciated if you tune in for personal reasons, but Josh is one of the best people I've had the opportunity to meet through this wild, wacky world of professional wrestling. And if you're going to tune in to support anyone, tune in to support that individual. However, throughout the month of June, we at Love Wrestling are attempting and doing pretty well so far at trying to support the Trevor Project. We're trying to raise $1,000 for them by the end of the month. So far, we are at $420. Make your jokes where you will. Tonight, Zach's going to be matching donations of up to $50 donated in bits. And following that, during the conversation with Josh and I, we're going to be plugging this. We are going to be trying to raise as much as we can for a great project. If you guys want to look more into them, please make sure you check out their website. Or if you want to check out the blurb that we've got on them, it is a little more brief, because they are obviously more than happy to give you more information on their own website. But if you want to find out a little bit more in a quick little blurb and toss some money their way at the same time, it would be appreciated if you guys head to donate.tiltify.com/@LoveWrestlingCA/Trevor Project. We always appreciate your support, whether it's tuning in, whether it's subscribing, whether it's donating bits, whether it's a like, a share, a follow, a Yelp review, anything along those lines. However you guys choose to support, it's always appreciated. But if you want to go a little bit above and beyond this month, that's the best way to do so. It's the place that's closest to our heart right now. We'd love if you followed us on social media, but we'd absolutely love if you would support the fine folks at the Trevor Project. Now, as we start to close out the show, we're a little over our match time, but that's fine. If we're going to be plugging great people doing great things like the Trevor Project is doing, it's a little bit more all right to go over. But as we like to close out here on Twitch, we are going to be rating another great individual. We're reading Ibiza, who is playing some Pokemon Red and Blue right now. So if you're tuned in on Twitch, like our good buddy Andre C is, who, thank you, my friend, for offering up some cheers to close out the show. It's always appreciated. Thank you, JJ, for tuning in. It is always appreciated when you take the time to tune in for brunch. You have a great week as well, and I'm sure I'll see you in the comments section here sooner rather than later. And if you're on Twitch, join us in the comments section on Ibiza's End. We're going to check out some Pokemon fun. Red and Blue, I know, hold a special place in a lot of our old hearts, at least on my end. If you guys are watching on Facebook or YouTube, thank you guys for tuning in. Daryl, thank you for your sub. It is appreciated that you took the time to tune in and throw your support that way, our way. If you guys watching there, you're going to hear our music. If you guys are watching on Twitch, we'll see you at the Ibiza. For Mr. J, for Parrish, we're out.